So I just wanted to welcome everybody to the first Black Seed Fireside Chat. The format of today's event is essentially going to be a Q&A format where I ask our esteemed and very fortunate to have guests about their experience as Black founders and founders in their respective industry. And then towards the end, hopefully there'll be a little bit of time for Q&A for everyone to ask their questions. So if you could hold the space and appreciate them and give them their due respect when they do talk, because these people have been on tremendous journeys. And even me sitting here, I'm honored to learn from them, you get what I'm saying? So first we have Kiemu, who was actually a doctor for 8 years before leaving to found her own company, Beautonomy, which is an e-commerce platform for custom makeup palettes, which she's now evolving into a marketplace, am I right? And then we have Rahmon Agbaji, who, did I pronounce it right, bro? Yeah. My wife's Nigerian, so I'm getting a bit of the accent, but I ain't got it all the way there. So I met him a few years ago when he founded his first company, a Gen Z music platform called Kiki, which he then exited, which you know is a big deal, it's no small time thing. And now he's founded his own music distribution company, which is called Loud Parade, but he also works to try and diversify the VC space with extended ventures, and he sits on the board of Capital Enterprises, One Tech, right? Cool. And then another guest who I'm sure if any of you were fans of, if you've been anywhere or listened to any UK music in the last 10 to 15 years, has significantly contributed towards the space. You know, they've had chart-topping albums, mobile success, but he's also diversified into the hospitality space with their restaurant Krept and Cones, and he's also in the creative production space, you know, BBC Free, Rap Game UK, and lots of other ventures which we'll delve into. So if you could give our guests a round of applause, I'd really appreciate that. And before I ask the first question, I hope I did you guys justice in that respect. But I think the first question, I want to touch on a theme which I'm seeing, and maybe either Krept or Kiemu, you could answer this first, but I see transition as a big thing. You know, I feel like a lot of us, business is something, or entrepreneurship, you know, founding a business is something we transition into. So it'd be nice to know, like, Kiemu, how you felt or how it was going from being a doctor into a founder and founding your own business, and then equally probably Krept, we could ask about your experience as well.
It was really hard. It was really hard to leave security and pursue something that was less certain, and it was really hard with lots of advantages of you know, I had support, and I had probably access to more network than some people, and that's something that's really stayed with me, that the barrier was really hard for me, so much less somebody who didn't have my advantages. So that's something I feel passionately about now, so increasing access to opportunity in the way that's being spoken about today.
Cool, man.
Yeah, man. And for me, it was more of a thing where I always think about the future long term, and you know, for the next generation, for my kids and their kids, I always used to think, when it comes to music pays well, it's great, but I always have to go perform and actually do that myself. What if my kids don't like music? How are they gonna benefit from this journey
and
that I'm
don't
going on
like
right
your
now?
music as well?
What if they don't, you know what I mean? Like, what if they're not into that? And you know what I mean? And it was just a thing where I thought, what can I leave them and the next generation and the generation after that? And that was always my drive and my fighting force for me to even want to diversify into other ventures and into other things that I don't need to pick up a mic for. So.
I think that's an important concept, you know, the idea of like business gives us opportunity to like earn money residually, you know, and passively, you know, especially like I think a lot of us grew up with that work mentality, trade your time for money, do you get what I'm saying? And I feel like what you're describing is that cultural shift, you know, that's happening right now. Before I go on to Rahmon, and I really want to ask about your experience, because you started straight out in business as a Black founder. But Kiemu, you were mentioning you said you had certain advantages that played in. Would you like to like elaborate a bit, just so people can kind of get a perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a palatable Black founder because, you know, I was a doctor, so that's a kind of it's an objective indication of something which is palatable. And I'm a fair-skinned black person, and I am married to my business partner who's a white man, who has a networking business. So it was, I had every advantage in terms of changing careers, but it was still really difficult. So that's what
Cool.
I meant.
No, I think it's important because, I feel like just the honesty and authenticity, just to acknowledge that privilege. And I think the biggest problem in the ecosystem right now is not you specifically, but people don't acknowledge their privilege. Our like white counterparts don't really see that, so it's harder for us. So, Rahmon, so that's the question I want to ask you. You went straight into business. So how was that as a black founder? What did you notice going into that space? Was the privilege that Kiemu's talking about, was that evident to you? Or, what was your experience? First day, first pitch, how was it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think for me as a founder, I don't really look at it in terms of technical terms. I just look at it as building. Like, I just wanted to build. I had a lot of energy, I had a lot of ideas, and people around me who wanted to be involved in the community. And it kind of happened more authentically or naturally. It wasn't something I consciously made happen. It just sort of happened. And as I was going on that journey, I realized, I have something here of value. And then you start to realize the value, and then you start to build on it, and you build that momentum. In terms of privilege, I'm from a single parent background, Lewisham, from the hood, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But of course I don't sound like that, but that's been constructed by my mum. Do you know what I mean? She literally designed me.
Kept you in at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and
I heard that.
pretty much. And she wouldn't even let me go to school in Lewisham,
I
seriously.
hear that.
But I did go to a private school. I went to Whitgift School alongside footballers, people like Callum Hudson-Odoi, Jamal Musiala, so it was a school of sporting excellence as well as academic excellence. And it was there where I really started to see the value that I possessed. And there was a small group of us black sort of kids who went there and stayed together and said, look, we made a pact, we're going to be successful, we're going to bring it in for the next generation.
Like the Hunger Games.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think I took a lot of inspiration from the States, I can't lie. People like Jay-Z, people like Nas, I had to look up to them because in the British ecosystem, it wasn't as mature. But now it's great to see people like Krept, other people coming through, being entrepreneurs and really doing their thing. Hopefully we can have a sustainable community now.
Yeah, no, I agree. You were saying you didn't realize you had something and it just happened. Can you explain that a bit? So when you were founding Kiki, what do you mean you didn't know you had something and it happened?
It's one of those things where we're black people, we're super, super undervalued. We don't realize the power of our pound or dollar. It's only until Black Panther comes out and everyone's showing up, we realize, oh my gosh, we don't understand our cultural capital. That's something quite hard to quantify. Yeah. So we often don't realize that, oh my gosh, we have a lot of influence. So being so young and starting a company, you don't really clock how valuable that company can be, and you can often be exploited. And that was my experience for a while, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes it can be too late by the time you switched on. I think that's why it's important to have mentors or people who have been in business who can actually evaluate your company or evaluate your skill set and have that vision so you actually value yourself, because for too long we've been undervalued and it's time for that to change.
So who did you start the company with then in that respect?
So my best friend actually. So I started with my best friend. He was Nigerian as well, strict parents, that sort of thing. But we also had a white co-founder as well.
Okay.
So we were selling the same product, but we could clearly see the privileges that he had when he was, pitching the company versus us. So it actually was quite stark every day. We used to joke about it. That's how sad it got, But when you look back, that's not right. Do you know what I mean? We're selling the same product. We have something of value that should be actually deserved and actually celebrated rather than demonized or confused. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, man. I think we can move on then from this transitioning and talk about the challenges. I can imagine, especially with you, Krept, you're doing your thing in the music industry, you're up there, do you get what I'm saying? What is the challenges you face when coming into business? Because I think most people assume that, you lot do a tour and just invest that into the restaurant and you lot are good, you know what I mean? What are the challenges? Did investors just throw money at you? Was it easy,
No, with Krept and Cones, that was self-funded.
It was self-funded?
Yeah.
So your own money?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we put our own money into it. But the challenges that we faced was just the fact that anyone that we came across, they just saw young black boys, don't know what they're doing, How do I take advantage of this? And obviously, if anybody knows how I am, I don't miss anything. So when they met me and they saw how I was, they were just so surprised, like that a young black boy is so aware and alert of everything that is going on. Do you get what I'm saying? I didn't miss a penny. I asked questions.
Who were these
I
people
questioned
asking
everything.
questions to?
Like just different companies, construction companies, people that know that this isn't your field, or they'll ask, oh, is this your first restaurant? Is this? And then they would use that and they try to take advantage of overprice things, and you know what I'm saying, and try to add money on top or whatever it is. And you deal with accountants or whatever, they always try to kind of take advantage of your situation, of you being a young black boy. Because a lot of the time they do, when in our space, when accountants or label heads or whatever it is, when they speak to a lot of the artists, a lot of people are not really interested in the business side of it. It's just
give me my check.
Yeah, give me my money and let me rap on the mic and that's it. And so when they meet me and Conan, they're just like, they don't understand, like, how comes you lot are so onto us about everything? Why do you lot, how did you even clock that? Like, and it's sad because they don't do that to everyone, and it's like they will see young black boys or black women and think they can take advantage, because it's like this is a new space for us. When you see young rappers in the UK like just saying, yeah, we're going to decide to open up a restaurant or start this business or get into this or get into that, it's new, so they do try to take advantage of that. And it's scary because it's like not a lot of people might not be that alert about things, or they might take trust or liking to people and just think, yeah, you can trust this person, trust that person. And a lot of the time there's a lot of sharks out there, isn't it? So we had to kind of deal with that, overcome those hurdles and get it done. So it was a lot of self-teaching.
I was going to ask, so where did that education come from? Like, are you like reading books or watching programs about like hospitality or what?
Asking questions, going to other restaurants, speaking. Like we used to go into other restaurants, speak to the managers and ask them questions and sit down with them and say, yo, so how does this work? What do you do when it comes to this? And we just took that knowledge, asking questions. Like one thing I always advise people is just go and ask.
Yeah.
Like you think sometimes like they're gonna think I'm silly because I don't know it, or just ask, because a lot of the time we don't know it. And if you ask questions, everything we did we asked, and that's how we was just navigating through, and that's how most of the stuff that we do even comes into fruition. Just asking a question, not feeling a way to ask this person, you know what, I want to suck it, I want to ask him, how do I do this? It might sound dumb, but how do I do that? And we just did that, and literally we just built this restaurant, and it was just like, when we got to the end of it, it was like, how did we do this? Like, this is mad. Like, we built a restaurant and like we got people queuing. How did we do this? Like, you just feel like, what? How did I do this? And it was just like, yeah, and it just made me realize that like anything you want to do, if you actually go out and try to learn or figure it out, there's a way that you will be able to do it. And you know what I'm saying? When we decided that we're doing a restaurant, we didn't have a clue how to deal with a restaurant. Like we had no knowledge on a restaurant. And by the time we finished, we learned so much doing it. And when we opened and all the mistakes that we was making, we learned so much. Like I can't even pay for the knowledge of what I learned running a restaurant. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a lot of learning curves, and a lot of people tried to take advantage, but I feel like that helped shape even what's going on today. So.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something. I feel like humility is something that is like scarce in our community, innit? Because we feel like we have so much to overcome. Sometimes you're afraid to ask, and I've realized some of the most like successful people I know, they ask everything. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's not because they don't know the answer, but they just want to be more informed. And I feel like that's important, man. So I feel like that's a solid takeaway. Kiemu, so e-commerce, like I feel like a lot of people now people know what that term is, but when you founded the business, like getting into e-commerce, like what kind of challenges did you face there, and what made you even think that you could go into that, especially coming from like a medical background?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So Autonomy started as a project with a bigger company, and they didn't want to take it forward, and I wanted to take it forward. Tom, my husband, didn't want to take it forward either. And really what I saw, because we work in beauty, what I saw in, I don't know if it's e-commerce, I don't know if I'm answering the question exactly,
Okay, no
but
problem.
what I saw was that in beauty's a $500 billion industry, so that's $500 billion, a year.
So I feel like your mic's a bit low. Can you guys hear it? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
swap the mic, yeah, because I feel like it's not as
So
loud.
beauty's a $500 billion industry, and it's largely driven by, beauty content creators, inspiring people to buy products. But all of the money in beauty, and there's loads of money, is only really going to the big companies. So, I found that really kind of undemocratic, because most of the people who sell beauty products through their content, etc., don't get any remuneration. Only really the big influencers get partnerships with brands, and affiliate fees from beauty products are very low. So I just found that really unfair, and I was just inspired to try to find a way to help beauty content creators monetize their content. And I guess that's we took on the challenge of e-commerce because of that.
Yeah.
But in terms of your original question of kind of how's it been, what's been hard, I think there are two big areas, right? All the learning that you're describing, I've been through as well. You have to learn everything, right? And part of it is asking. Now I'm at a stage where I'm trying to hire people that are better than me, is the main thing. And not being afraid that somebody's smarter than me or better than me for that role. And I think that's a really, it was a bit of a psychological hurdle, because my business was my baby, and I've been running it, doing most of the jobs myself. So to hand things over now to experts is really important, and will make my business better. But in the fundraising process, what was difficult was people only speaking to Tom. So even within my relationship, I had that issue of kind of what you were describing, of we're both selling the same thing, we're both on the same call. I'm running the business because we're bootstrapping, he was working.
Wow.
And they're speaking to him. So that was a challenge between us. That was something that I've had to become more forthright about addressing. And we kind of have tactics of how we play calls. He just has to talk a lot less. But that was definitely challenging, and that kind of automatic belief that the white man in the room knows what he's doing. But no, I'm running the business. He's my husband supporting me to bootstrap, but I'm the one running the business. And psychologically as well as practically, that was a big thing for us.
No, I'd love to know, probably talk off camera about how that affected your relationship dynamic, but now we'll focus on the entrepreneurship. I want to I'll take some notes, but I want to go into I want to talk about raising money a bit, but also, I feel like both of you were discussing, and all of you were talking about being in the room and people kind of not seeing you. What do you think black creators could do to better champion themselves? Sorry, not black creators, black founders could do to better champion themselves in that space, and you could take it and we could follow.
Just be as audacious as possible. Be as ridiculous as your imagination will take you. That is my definite advice to any entrepreneur, because that's what people listen to. And that's actually what I learned from Tom. He doesn't have any shame about saying he wants to run the world. And that entitlement, we need to cultivate it and say it out loud.
100%. Do you want to address it, then we can go to it? Correct.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think the ego is such an interesting thing in business, because obviously we're always taught tame your ego, be humble, which is important, but I feel like black people almost, especially in a room full of white people, we're too quiet or too humble, we're on defense too much. Sometimes we need to be Ronaldo, take that shot and see what happens, do you know what I mean? Because scared money doesn't make money. And if you know you're good, you know what I mean, and you can back it, then of course, push, promote, do what you need to do, because that's how business is like, you know what I mean? It's a place where, you have to shine through. There's so much competition, so believing in yourself and backing yourself And just being really aware, I think, is key to this game.
Real talk, man. So,
Yeah.
did you have that problem as like someone who steps on stage in front of like tens of thousands of people? Did you have a problem being confident, like in meetings and rooms, or?
Yeah, no. When it comes to confidence, that's not even like been my issue. It's more like the fact that when you go into certain rooms, they just think a certain way of you straight away.
Yeah, the stereotypes.
Yeah, like that stereotype never leaves. As much as they say, no, got black mates. Like, like, as long as you can hear that as much times as you want, the stereotype's there, bro. Like, and my thing is just, I've just been confident. I'm confident with what I do, and I feel like being yourself and, you know, coming across in that way and confident and assertive, like you will leave that, you know what I'm saying, that not impression, because you're not trying to impress, but you'll leave, they'll remember you.
Yeah.
Like now, when I go to places, I've got meetings or with people, I used to think, oh, let me dress up proper. Now, I'll go tracksuit, this is who I am, and when they hear the way I talk and when I speak, they're just like,
yeah, real talk. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's got me a lot further, just being me, but also knowing what direction I want and knowing what I want and being assertive and asking and saying, and this is who we are and this is what I do and this is who I am. And when I'm like that, it's just like, okay, do you know what?
Yeah.
We can't all judge people that are just like this or look like this, and I feel like that helps the stereotype a bit. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't feel a way anymore about, you know, how I look. Or even yesterday, I went on Sky Sports before. They was like, oh, do you want to wear a blazer? I said, bruv, I'm wearing this trackie and this Dior jacket, and I'm going on the thing and I'm chatting my mouth off. I'm not doing that no more. I'm done with all of that. Like, this is who I am. I know who I am. You don't want me here. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not coming here to, you know, act a certain way for you or be like that. So yeah, and obviously present yourself in a proper way, and that's it. And once you come across assertive and you speak to people and you just be yourself, like it gets me a lot further in conversations and people remember me a lot more. And I've been to places where they're like, oh, like they don't know who I am as a rapper, but they're like, oh, I remember you from last time, just from the conversation, and do you get what I'm saying, and leaving that mark on people, and I found that that's really well. But yeah, that stereotype is real. It is a real thing. But I feel like when you speak to people, don't feel a way to go and speak to people, because when you do and they kind of get a gist of who you are, like I feel like that goes a long way. Do you know what I mean? And if you know what you're talking about, no matter what you're wearing, what you look like, you know what you're talking about, bro. And that's just the facts of it. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Nah, 100%, man. I can fully agree with the sentiment of like being confident and being who you are, because at the end of the day, like you were saying, if you know what you're talking about, why should you not be bossy about it? You know, like I feel like when like a white founder makes money, they'll just wear like flip flops and like a Marks and Spencer t-shirt. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? But we're always really trying, you know, we're really always trying to like overcompensate. 100%. You know,
all the people that like I've met, even the people that run the labels, the Universal, you link them, they got their toes out, and they're in their shorts and the t-shirt, and they don't care. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's the facts. Like all the actual, you know, richest and most that I've met, they don't care.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we here trying to, like, they don't care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't care who you find it.
Yeah, let's talk about raising money. I'm going to direct it specifically at Kiemu and Rahmon, just because obviously you guys have done it initially to build your businesses. You know, what is that like? You know, as a black founder, but also, you know, as a black woman, because I think you touched on like your husband Tom's privilege, not just as a white man, but also as a male. Do you get what I'm saying? So what is that process like? I feel like we talked about it a bit, so if you don't have to further elaborate, but it'd be good if there was any new insights.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to share anything that's helpful to anybody else that's raising money, and you know, I fully intend to have my door open for those conversations always. I think so. I spoke to a group that I have some sessions with recently about this, and so from that, I would say a few of the things that come out are pitching is not a presentation; it's a process. So don't look at it as just that one meeting. It's all about the work before, and it's all about the work after. That's something I wish I'd understood going into it, because it takes the pressure off the presentation. And raising money, in my experience, is about relationships, and that kind of fits with the previous point, which is about building your network before cultivating it during the actual pitching, and then if it doesn't go so well, trying to maintain relationships with people who are useful going forward, because the people that first invested in us in our seed round, we walked away from them 6 months before, and I didn't think I'd ever see them again, to be honest, but we did stay in touch, and then they were our lead investor. So you never know, and that taught me a lesson to kind of, people that are like-minded, and it might not be the right time then, and we walked away, we didn't think they were right, but things move on. People's priorities and commitments change.
Yeah.
I think the other point that I really want to make is that I really feel that, whenever I spoke, Andy Davis is in the audience, and when I spoke to him about, what is it, what do investors look for in a founder? Because the things is like big idea, big market, founder. What is this founder business? So it's, you said to me 6 months ago, or whatever it was, a year ago, resilience. You want to find someone that will run through walls for their ideas, I think is what you said. And I said, I'm doing that, mate. I've got a baby strapped to me in the pandemic, and I'm running my business, right? I've got 2 children under 5. I've got no childcare. I'm running my business.
No, I've got one child, and I'm struggling. So you hit me there. I'm struggling with one.
But what came out of that comment to me was, how do I convey that to the white men that don't know anything about me and don't have that relatable experience? How do I convey that sentiment of I have resilience, or I have, because their life, it's all, it's predominantly white men that you're pitching to. Their life experiences and way of communicating mean that they may not interpret my experiences or way of communicating as reflective of those qualities. So how do I surface that?
Yeah, no,
was something that I had to work on. So yeah, those are my take homes from the pitching and fundraising.
I think both of the points are dope. Like, I feel like, especially what you were talking about as well, as pitching being a process, like you said, the same way you're communicating who you are, doing that over a period of time. Because I found that business people don't take things personal. Like you said, if you've got a really good business, they'll circle back 6 months later and drop the bag on you, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that is super, super important as well to take away. Rahmon, your experience in terms of like raising money as a black founder and trying to communicate to people who don't understand you, this is my resilience, this is my struggle. It may not be shared, but it's significant,
100%. So on the resilience point, I'm going to give an analogy. Like, being a startup founder is like being in a boxing ring, blindfolded, and you have to feel out the punches. Like, it's that deep. Like, once you feel out a few, you might actually survive. So, to be honest, if you look at the failure rate of startups, like within a year, 90% fail. So, if you're not ready for this game, like, go get a corporate job or do something else. If you really want to do this, I'd say, like, hang in there. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be worth it. Ownership is what our community needs. So that's the first thing, having those expectations that it is going to be hard. Having the right support system around you now. A lot of us, our parents want us to be bankers, doctors, lawyers, like, it's this typical African route, which is cool because for them, like, security was key when they first came here. But we need to be taking bigger bets to advance our communities. That's how I really feel. So helping the people around you understand that and that you're doing it for a greater cause is key, because There's going to be times where you're burnt out. There's going to be times where it's hard. So I think that support system is key. Now onto the actual raising of money and pitching to people who don't, quote unquote, understand. This is the thing, a lot of VCs actually haven't run a business in their life. It's a sexy career that they went into after working at Google or being a consultant. Like that is what it is, like throwing shots. But at the same time, I do think that you're the one of value, right? So it's about building that FOMO, building that value. And there's a few tricks, you know? I think having that mystery about you, like your name coming up a few times in different rooms, the power of the network, as mentioned before, I think that's so key. And I think it's just about leverage ultimately, like whatever you need to do in this game to get ahead, whether you have to get a white co-founder like I did, or whether you have to, you know, speak to this person or that person.
Yeah, white co-founder.
You got to do what you got. Do you know what I'm saying? Or whether you have to go to America, like Cyril understands that, like, you know, it's different communities that receive you differently. So I do feel like you got to be adaptable in this game because it is crazy. And then the last thing for your mental health is I basically gamify everything, like in as many ways as possible, because it's a probability sort of thing. So if I treat this like a game and I'm just hedging bets, I need to keep going. Like the more people I speak to, the greater my chances are that one of them might be of value. So I think that can really help with mental health. Like just walk into a room and say like, I'm gonna win this game, you know, game on.
Yeah, I can tell you get busy in that pitch room. I can see. So actually talking about like what the purpose of Black Seed is and helping enable Black founders in tech. So I want to ask you, Krept. So the Black report showed that 88% of Black businesses are self-funded, innit? And I'm sitting here wondering, like, because you've been jogging your whole career. You man were doing like Otis videos. I remember those. You know what I mean? Then you proper. So you like I'd see you as an entrepreneur like throughout your whole artistic career, and then becoming like going into the hospitality industry with a restaurant. Why was it that you felt like you had to self-fund that? Was you not aware that like that people just throw money at people with a pitch deck? Or I don't understand.
Yeah, no. I realized that once we opened the restaurant.
Serious?
Yeah. Like I did, like to the point where there was so much people saying, "Bruh, why did you do this with your own money?
Yeah.
Like you could have done this, you could have done that," and I'm just like, "Yeah, it's all good now, isn't it? Are you gonna put the money back in my pocket, or are we gonna keep it moving now?" But yeah, I genuinely did it. It wasn't something that was really. I genuinely feel like it's still not something that a lot of young Black entrepreneurs are aware of. Like, and I just think it's mad because like most of these successful businesses have all had help. And it's just like,
and even unsuccessful ones, people who've gone and raised money and not done nothing.
And done nothing with it, and it's just like, it's crazy that it's something that we're just not aware of. And obviously now, moving forward after doing that, it was like any business that I got involved in after that, it was either something that didn't require a major investment, but high on return, and you know, but stuff that requires heavy funding. It was just like we didn't really know, or I knew of it, but it was just like, where do I go for this?
Yeah.
Who do I speak to for this? Like, there's no go-to place for, yeah, I'm a young Black entrepreneur. This is the idea. I've got a genius idea. Who do I go to for funding? Like, and
that's your pitch, Karl. That's where you step in. He just pitched it for you. Yeah.
It's true though, and it's just like a massive open market for you lot. Like, as in, it's not even a market. Yeah, like it's not even a market. I'd say it's just something that's needed, man. Like within the Black community, I feel like there is just not a go-to place where you can say, this is where. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I just feel like it's bad, man. Like,
yeah.
And it's just now your job and our jobs to let people know this is out there. By the way, I know you lot are doing this, but by the way, you should know about this. And I just think it needs to be something that's really spoken about a lot more, because to a lot of people, you know, non-Black people, it's common knowledge. It's like, we know this. We don't spend our own money.
Yeah.
You spend your own money. Like, and that's the reality of it, man. So it's like, it's what it is.
Yeah, I agree, man. I feel like, especially like when you're coming from a creative background, you just know, like, you guys were independent for the longest before, you know, you actually started working with people with money. So I totally get it. But I think one of you guys said it to me actually, I don't know, but it's like, we work hard, but it's about working smart in it, and the
Working
opportunities
smart,
are there.
100%.
You've got to take advantage of them. So how did you guys find out about, so your first few raises, Kiemu, was that like private investors, or was it like, was it VC investment, like your first?
So the original investment came.
Yeah,
The original investment came from a big beauty conglomerate, Coty. It was a project inside Coty Autonomy, and then we had a pre-seed. When we spun it out and took the business forward ourselves, we got pre-seed investment from VC and a seed investment from VC. But I find this element of the conversation really fascinating, because I didn't know what venture capital was when I left medicine,
And you're a professional, you're a black professional,
yeah,
you're a doctor.
I didn't know what it was, and I had side hustles, and I consider myself entrepreneurial, and always have been, but it never occurred to me. And more than that, I would have deemed it, somehow failing to not be able to make my thing profitable. That's the truth of my mindset when I first started thinking about taking over Autonomy. So I really feel like there's a big education piece needed around, yes, but what venture capital is and that it's available, but also what sort of businesses, because profitability at an early stage is not a priority necessarily, are important, right? It's about growth and movement, forward momentum. It's not about making the books balance straight away. And I didn't understand that, but that was a powerful switch that allowed me to be more audacious when I was raising.
Dope, man. And Rahmon?
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think market share is key as well. So with venture capital, it's ruthless. Like, think about it as the most American industry ever. So that's kind of what I started to understand and gain a bit of an insight. Again, I didn't know what venture capital was. When we were raising, it was from angel investors. Like, I'll be honest, it was just a bunch of rich guys who wanted their kids to work where we were building. Like, that was it. But having said that, after I'd exited, I actually did a little stint in venture capital. And the mindset there was to be like the Robin Hood, like kind of take from the rich and give to the poor. And Cyril will tell you, we used to have conversations about the insights, little bitchy gossip sessions about who's who to look out for. Because that is what it is, knowledge is power. So to bring that back to the community was a great sort of experience. They definitely do like to keep it within their circles. Obviously racism is the ugly enemy, but classism is even more insidious. And I clocked that with the whole Oxbridge thing and sort of what they do there, and keeping that power and that wealth in those circles. What I would say though, overall, in terms of venture capital is there are a lot of myths. To be honest, black founders, they build high revenue generating companies, actually good businesses. And venture a lot of the time is more just backing founders who they know in certain networks. So I think it's a bit unfair. So it's great to see Black Seed actually give that opportunity and democratize to black founders who, actually are building companies that actually make money, because that's what we should be investing in, right?
Yeah, 110%. I feel like one of the mottos that is here at Black Seed is that black founders are over-mentored and underfunded, and that's the gap that's trying to be filled, So before we get to the Q&A portion, I just want to ask you guys, future, you said you're evolving Autonomy into into a marketplace, obviously, you're just starting your entrepreneurial journey and getting spending other people's money, now. And, Rahmon, you doing some interesting stuff in the music space. So do you guys want to talk about what you're doing and the kind of legacy you want to leave? Anyone can start off if they want.
I'll start. So for Autonomy, the next steps are we're opening up in the US. We're pivoting the business to become a marketplace for creators, and that's all really exciting. But this is just a start. Now we want to raise again, also in the next sort of 18 months. But now that I know what I can do, Autonomy is just step one in terms of my business trajectory.
Yeah.
World domination.
Yeah. Co-sign that. Receive it.
Yeah, for me, I've got something. Obviously, I can't talk about it. Karl knows, but it's something quite big, and the moves that has been made already before we actually launch it have been incredible. So yeah, I'm launching something in
With someone else's money though, yeah?
October. September, October. And yeah, and prior to that, obviously, because we was in lockdown, even when I was saying to you about, like, you know, speaking to people, leaving marks on people and building relationships, I think relationships are so important. Like, even down to, you know, you go somewhere, down to the person that's making the tea, like, ask them their name, like, what's your name, that, and they're just like, oh, me, oh yeah, my name's, and then before you know it, this person's running this, and
Real talk.
that is exactly how we even got into TV, because yeah, someone just liked us for just being a human to them, as a person that wasn't considered as important in a room of important people, and that person became an important person and is now in charge of this and now in charge of that and now running this, and now you see man on TV like, hey, you know what I'm saying? No, but like it's serious, like relationships and speaking to people, and you never know who you're talking to, you never know what they're gonna become, you never know. And I feel like relationships have been important. Like, even throughout my music journey, all the relationships I've had with people, like, I don't think people would have, you know, a bad word to say about us in terms of how we deal with people, you know, our work ethic and that trust and relationship. So even in when lockdown happened, we was like, got to close the restaurant. I was just thinking, do you know what? I know, I want to start something else. Do you get what I'm saying? And in lockdown, we started an agency.
So like a marketing agency, creative agency?
Yeah, so it's like we do, like, it's so mad that people don't even know that it's us. Like, a lot of the artists don't know that we're here marketing their songs, and they're like, you know what I'm saying, we're here, I'm collecting #1 trophy. To the point, someone walked in my house and they was like, they looked at something that said another song in there and it had a #1 trophy, and they was like, why did you got this? And I was like, you get what I'm saying? But like, yeah, so we market a lot of the music. We build up even companies that are, you know, trying to market clothing brands. We work with even major brands. Like, so how it came across was, again, you know, big companies not really knowing what's going on within black culture.
Yeah.
They come in, they see someone that's blown up, and they say, oh yeah, I want a collaboration with this artist. And it came because a brand asked me, they was like, how much would you charge us to put our brand in one of your songs and rap about it? And I was like, oh, we're not in cycle, we're going to release next year. And they was like, what do you mean? I was like, can't you just do it? I'm saying, we're not releasing music right now, so you're better off asking some. And I just clocked, I was like, they actually don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I was just like, hold on a second. And even just working with a lot of brands, a lot of the time they want to do big deals with us, and we're like, we ain't even dropping music for another year, so I don't know why they're using us, but we're going to take the money anyway. But then it made me just realize that there's no space or no catalyst to help brands navigate and do the right cultural moves.
So it's organic,
Yeah, so we was just like, yeah, this makes sense, and it's something that we don't promote it. We never promoted it. It's not nothing, like, it's just a literally behind the scenes thing, and we catalyst a lot of things that happen. So a lot of, you know, endorsement deals, campaigns, music marketing, online, TikTok, making things go viral. Like, we do a lot of that. Do you get what I'm saying? And you know, we work with a lot of big brands and help them keep within the culture, let them know what's going on, and consulting for a lot of them. And then it just, we done that, we started that in lockdown. It just became it just got getting bigger and bigger, and I was like, oh, next thing we got office here, we got this, we got a big team of staff, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
In the space of less than a year, do you get what I'm saying? And I was just like, that was down to relationships and trust.
Yeah,
and
we'll talk.
Me being able to go to all the artist managements and the record labels and say, look, this is what I'm doing. You trust what it is that we're saying we're going to bring to the table, and will you let us do this? And a lot of the people are just like, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, just out of relationships.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to ask. Like, I just went to everybody that I've come across the industry, and I said, yo, this is what I'm doing. This is how we can help you. What are you saying? And if 50% of those people say yes, you've got something. You get what I'm saying? And that's what it was. It was like to start an agency, it requires you having conversations.
Yeah.
And a lot of them. And not feeling like scared to ask, but have conversations. And that's how it started. And I just asked every person I had a relationship with, and they was like, yeah, now it's like, you know, all the record labels are using us. Got brands using us to get in there with, you know, product placement. Oh, can you get us in this new music video? And we're just, do you know what I mean? And people just don't know it's us doing it. Do
Connecting
you
the
get what I'm
dots,
saying?
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I hear that.
And that's what we've done. And that was just something I was just like in lockdown. Wow, we have this time to just start in lockdown. I was like, yeah, I want to start this in lockdown.
So you built a completely new business in the middle of the pandemic.
Like just using my brain and initiative and thinking, let me create something else. And that runs by itself. I don't even need to be involved in it.
Yeah.
I just created a system, which I learned from Krept and Combs, doing everything wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? You need to create a system so that, you know, if you're not there, this is how it works. You come in, you say this, you do this, you do that. This is how it works. You take them to, and that system. And I learned that from, you know, the likes of watching things like Founders, the McDonald's thing.
Oh,
And
the
how they it got big was just creating a system that worked. So it's this, you put the bun here, put the cheese here, this, out, this.
Yeah.
And it's a system. And I'm really strong in creating a system so that when you step out of it, this system still works without you.
110%.
That's why we started the agency, and I created a system and how it works. So now I've got a team that just know how to do it. And all I need to do is just keep expanding it, get more clients, get more, and just keep expanding. And that's it.
Yeah, no, that's dope,
And
man.
that's
I
what I
feel
do.
like there needs to be a Black Seed Film Club, because that Founders film is hard.
Bruv, that film is serious.
Solid.
Yeah. And that made me realize about the system stuff and how important it is to create systems and yeah. So yeah, that's something that I started in lockdown, but I'm working on something like major for the
Bear some things in the pipeline.
No, serious. Like I'm really like excited about. Do you get what I'm saying? There's so much happening with it, so much big moves happening with it that I'm just excited.
Well, I'm excited for you as well, bro. Just Rahmon, just before you can tell a bit about what you're doing, Q&A will be after, so you lot can get your questions prepped and that.
Yeah, 100%. So, no, it's great to hear what you guys are going to be up to. I'm sure we're going to cook up some things
Yeah, you
together,
guys, there's some
know what I mean?
synergy, I think,
I can see already. I guess for me, like, two main projects that I'll be working on. So the first is like a Gen Z wealth management platform for footballers in my network, and also just like artists, influencers, anyone who needs to get into technology. Like, I'm here to help. Like, it's about knowledge, right, and sharing. So definitely down for that. And then the other side of things is a publisher for brands as well. So there could be some interesting things there, called Loud Parade. So the first major sort of song we did for Nike got 4.8 billion views on TikTok. So we're going to just keep pumping it out and yeah, giving opportunities to black creatives. Like, that's what it's all about. So yeah, keep them busy.
Dope, man. Could you give
And
a
Black
round
Seed,
of
of
applause to our panel? Thank you guys, appreciate it, man. Yeah, so I think we'd open up the floor to questions while they still have time. I don't know how the Q&A systems work.
We don't have a system, we didn't read it.
All right, thanks everyone. My question is actually for Krept. So you talked about working with brands to connect them with the culture. Now, a lot of us in this room work in technology. Have you thought about connecting the culture with technology founders who need influencers to promote their business? For example, Stat Sports, which is, if you've watched football, you see them wear all those vests, right? So they've got people like Phil Foden and all those guys promoting them. And a lot of athletes now are looking at ways in which to promote startups. So is there an opportunity there for you to use that capacity that you've built up to help technology companies like us to kind of help us get to that next level? By the way, my company's in sports, that's what I'm asking.
Plugging himself.
There's I got my friend in the audience who's killing it in that field. He runs an app that connects businesses directly to the source of the culture and influence. So just
gonna put it behind,
bro.
bro.
Up Lutterodt. So if you can you see him? If you want to speak to him on like a just outside or on a personal one, I just run through, let them know what you do, man. But yeah, it's incredible what he does.
So I run
Come through. Yeah. Should draw you out, bro. You just came here to listen, but look at you.
I'm Latana. People call me Lots. I have an app called Expo. So we started off obviously connecting content creators with different startups and different brands. We're actually now refocusing and we're actually building essentially a Monzo exclusively for content creators. And that's it essentially, isn't it? Yeah, but yeah, still have a lot of connections, a lot of brands, a lot of content creators that will still work with us and want to bank with us essentially. So if you have any startups and you actually need creators, I'm willing to obviously refer them to you at no fee or whatnot. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, big up.
Thank you very much. That's Expo, yeah? EXPO.
XPO.
Anyone else have a question for any of the panelists?
Hiya, I just wanted to ask Kiemu, how do you keep motivated when you have a young family and you're trying to balance so many things? How do you keep yourself motivated to work hard, if you do, every day, to build your business?
Thanks, Ariana. I just that is a really funny question because it doesn't even cross my mind. I'm so hungry to make this work. I just make it work, is the truth. I've got such a strong vision of where I'm going. I need to get there. So that's it. Basically.
She gave you a sermon there, boy. That's a testimony.
So this has been great. Thanks Black Seed for organising that. Massive shout out to you too as well. It's been incredible. Thanks to the panelists, and thanks Cyril for hosting, of course. Right. So it's less of a question, more of just a point. So Kiemu said, I'm fortunate. I'm somewhat involved with autonomy, right? And Kiemu said that when she was pitching, people were looking at her husband Tom. I remember when we had a conversation, I should say. And firstly, actually, Kiemu hit me up. She just emailed me and said, hey, like it was in caps or something, like, hey, I love that you retweeted me or something. And it got my attention, the email stood out, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, oh, and she said, oh, I've been emailing you, trying to contact you for ages. And I realized it took something different to get an investor's attention, right? And I was like, what, you like that I retweeted you? I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't even tweet anything, right? And then when we had a conversation, there was no pitch deck or anything like that, or no presentation, it was just a conversation. And maybe it was strategic, because by the time we'd spoken, but it was just her. And then Tom came in. I remember when Tom came in, I was literally thinking, who's this white guy? And I was like, why is this white guy in your house? I'm not doing that. I was like, why is this white guy? I was like, why is this white guy in your house? But I didn't ask her. I was thinking, who's this white guy? And but it was great. And she said that actually, she was a doctor and all these things. But I just saw a superstar, right? Straight away, you see someone who just knows her shit. You see a queen, and you know someone who really means it. And is going to keep working and is going to push, and whatever the obstacle is or that wall is in front of you, she's going to run over. I didn't know there were kids involved in anything like that, right, as well. So this is a massive shout out. Just I'm a superstar who I'd back then, I'd back again and again and again in many universities. So yeah, massive shout out to me.
Dope, man.
Thank you so much.
Give the flowers, man. Give the flowers. I think there's someone at the back who wants to ask a question.
Hi. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. I just wanted to ask, when would you guys say is the time that you knew that you needed funding? So, yeah, when was the time that you knew you needed funding?
Good question. You can start.
Yeah,
You can, Rahmon
I'll have
can
to
answer.
take that one.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one because they always say bootstrap, 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 right? And I think a founder's mental health or a founder's sort of experiences should always be into consideration. It's like people make you feel guilty for wanting to raise money, but you can't scale without raising. The game's over if you don't. So I feel like once you feel like you can't scale this thing without like external funding, then you've got to fundraise. Like, it's what it is. Obviously, be aware. Remember that like there'll be issues of control once you're giving away equity, right? So that's always something to be cautious of. But once you realize you can't scale it past yourself and you need to bring in better talent, which is something you alluded to, like, yeah, it's competition. So you need that funding to attract the right type of people into your business to compete and win, you know? So I think that's the point where you need to do it.
And Ramon's one. I mean, he's exited the business. You know, that's not a small deal, right?
I appreciate it.
I would just add to that in a really tangible way, because I have a physical product business as well as a technology element, that if you just imagine, you know, you sell all your inventory, I need to buy more inventory, I don't have enough money to buy more, the amount of inventory to fulfill all the demand for my stuff in a really tangible way. So that's just one element, but you know, all your marketing will be in the same, your staff, and that, for me, that was what scaling meant: marketing, product, staff.
I was actually reading a book and it was saying like running out of inventory is worse than running out of money. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So no, I think that's important. Obviously you self-funded. So when did you know you needed money? Like,
It was more when you realise you can spend someone else's money than your own money, innit? Like, as soon as you know that, you don't have to spend your money. You want self-funded, innit? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and also meeting people that are rich and they're saying, I don't use my own money. And I'm like, what? Like, you do you mean you don't use your own money? You got, and it's just like, yeah, no, why? You don't have to. You can always self-raise. And from then, I was just like, okay, I've been doing this wrong. And we're not doing it wrong. It's a learning curve. It's a part of learning. You did it the harder way, not wrong. Sorry, wrong terminology. But yeah, and yeah, from then I just realized, like, yeah, man, this is the way to go. And you know what I mean. And also, as you were saying, like scaling up, like, you know, your business. Obviously, once you get your business turning over a certain amount of money, and it's like, okay, cool. You can be making profit, making money, but then you always want to scale. Well, I would hope that you would always want to scale your business. And sometimes to do that, you just need that injection of, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. And and if there's people out there willing that can see the vision in it, that are willing to invest in it for a small equity, then it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I hear that. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, strategic investors are great. So people have a network where you don't even have to do anything. Like, because they're invested and they've got skin in the game, they're just going to open up their network and follow in with their friends, or, you know, get you a big contract. Like, if they have access to a network that you don't have, then yeah, it might make sense to take that strategic investment. So that's what I do.
Dope. I think we got time for one more question. I think two more. Did you say one more? Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to what all three of you basically said. Like, what if you want to get funding, but you don't necessarily want to give equity because it's early on in your business? So, like, I'm just going based off of what you said about the you have product and you know that you need more products. That's kind of a time. But what if it's quite early on in your business and you don't feel comfortable yet giving a certain percentage, or you don't really want to give much equity? Is there other types of funding that you can get? That's what I want to ask.
Bank loans. Sometimes you can just do loans, like direct. If your business is making a certain amount of money or profit, and you can show that, and you pitch them like, this is what I want to do, you can just do that directly with the bank sometimes.
There are some interesting financial products, revenue share loans, specifically for marketing and inventory. I think companies like Clearbank and Uncapped do that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that if you really don't want to give away any of your business, because I guess that's the catch.
Yeah, literally. I just think it's boundary setting. Now I'm ruthless with investors. Like, they need to know that I'm also adding value too. So just make sure they know your worth as well, and make sure you have the right fit with when it comes to the investor. Like, make sure their intentions and their heart's in the right place, and you should be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine.
And I mean, I can add to that. I think crowdfunding, although it's less popular in our community, like you could pre-sell stuff in advance and crowdfund that. You know, say you tell people they can pre-order this amount and then you get the money up front. But I also, just in my experience, someone said something to me that blew my mind, and there was like, it's better to own like a small percentage of something than a whole percentage of nothing. Do you get what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes in our community, like, we're so caught on like the stories about, oh, this person got robbed, that person got robbed, that we don't want to give away anything. And I realized going forward, that's something that really changed my mindset about like VC and like venture, because sometimes it's not just the money, it's the relationships, like my man was saying, in it, and you'll be surprised how much further it's going to take your business. Yeah, cool. I think there's one more person.
Hi, my questions. My question's for Krept. For someone that's like navigating through the music industry, I've learned you have creativity and then you have the music business itself. So you know that there's a lot of big sharks, you've got the big labels, you've got the big marketing, and then you've got independent artists, which are essentially the small fish. So how would you best advise artists? Because a lot of the time it can be a catch-22 that big labels and big marketing campaigns and PR campaigns, they want the big fish, essentially, the big artists, and they want you to build traction. And it's like, how do you best build traction for yourself in an industry where you only get love and traction once you've got that love and traction?
I think firstly, like, when you're starting off at the bottom and your base level, you need to focus on your art. Like, don't even think about anyone else. Like, focus on the art and making the best music or putting out the best product, and focus on your audience and your fans. Because one thing I've realized, and this is of years of working through this industry, is that the only thing that matters is your fans and building a fan base, because that is the base of what's going to get anyone else's attention. And then obviously people come along, and you know, once you start getting bigger, it's like, hey, I want to wave a check at you. Do you want to sign this? Do you want to sign here? But the main thing is building up your core fan base and focusing on that. Like, for ages, up until I would say we did an independent project that went top 20. We didn't even have no manager telling us to do anything. We were just doing it ourselves. And even up until now, even with a label, with everything, every feature you've seen us get with like an American crazy, or whatever it is, that was all just networking and speaking to people and going out there, being audacious and just focusing on the real talent, which is the music, and making music, and forget, you know, labels or managers or this or that.
So it was did Young Kings with no manager?
No, we just did that ourselves.
Oh.
We just did that ourselves, and like we just winged it. And you know, we was creative without doing things that required a lot of money, because obviously at the start it's like, you know, you ain't gonna have the money to go and do big crazy videos. So every video that we done, it was just us improvising on a concept that wouldn't cost a lot of money. So when we made My Story, it was, we can do that outside, in a car, one of my friend's cars, in a house, one of my friend's houses. Don't need no money. All I need to pay for is the camera. But you know, to a lot of people, that looks like you know, where you would have to hide. If you got money and you're spending a lot of money on a production or whatever, they're gonna rent out a house, they're gonna rent out a car, you don't need to do any of that. You can just, you know, focus and be creative, and you know, focus on the art, but in your capacity and do you know what I mean? Don't overthink it or think, I need a lot of money to do this, because we didn't.
I love the
do
concept
anything
you
with
did for Devil's Playground. Sorry, I'm standing
Yeah,
now,
so
but
that was
was
just
hard and that was simple.
And that was simple. It didn't cost nothing. I drive in my own car, got my friend camera, and you're just driving around, and I thought, yeah, that just makes sense. And just filming the look, and that didn't cost us anything. Do you get what I'm saying? And a lot of the time, most of the authentic videos or things that get you in that space are things that didn't cost nothing. Do you know what I mean? I think just focus on that. And yeah, the sharks will come. They always do. But I feel like going in to the music industry with a team of friends as like management, I think that is so important, because you're gonna get in there and I've realised a lot of the managers don't know what they're doing. Everyone's winging it. Now everyone's winging it, because at one stage they was telling us we need a singer in our group for us to make it. And we need to do it like N-dubs. And that was a professional manager that said, yeah, this is what you need to do. And you're not going to get on radio if you don't make a song like this, if you don't do this. And it's like, these are professionals telling you this. And then you come and tell them, if she got to go, don't waste my time. And then you're in the charts and you're like, what are you saying now, bro? Like, and that was just us just saying, you know what, let's just do us and focus on our fans. Like, don't think that there's a right way to do anything. One thing I'll say about the music industry, everyone is winging it. Everyone. You go in a label meeting, they're winging it. They don't know what's going on. They don't know, like, everybody is just winging it. And, you know, you put out a song and it starts doing well, the song's gonna do well anyway. But a label will come, shows a check in your face and say, I want to sign it. And all they're doing is just buying the rights to the song. The song was going to do well anyway, with or without the label, and that's what they do. So, and it's tricky, because it's like, you will come into the industry, put out a song, your song's blown up, but you still ain't got no money. Because you don't get money, or you don't get paid for months later if you're independent. Because the royalties take a while to come in. So if you come in the industry, you've got a song blowing up, but you ain't got no money, it doesn't make sense to you in your head. So a label will come in and say, here's 100, 200,000 pounds right now. Give me the tune. And you're gonna think, I'll check my account. Yeah, this looks right. This makes sense. And you're just thinking, this actually makes sense. And that's how they get a lot of the artists. And it's like, yeah, I want to sign it. But then the song goes on to make 600,000 pounds or £1 million. And they're taking all of that because now you've signed. And that's what happens. So it's just navigating and going into the situation, into the industry, like management. Use a friend that's organized. Someone that's organized. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what Stormzy did as Res Rach, like with his friend. It's not, Tobes wasn't a big crazy manager before. He's with his brethren, he's people that he trusts, and he's there. Like, he's doing well. Like, you don't need no big time manager to be like, yo, this is what it is. He's got his friends and people that he trusts around him. And that goes with a lot of the new artists that are coming. A lot of them and their friends are managing them. Do you know what I mean? So no one that's trying to shark them. Do you get what I'm saying? And recommendations through other people. When you meet other people, who do you think I should use for my accounting? Because there are shark accountants out there. So it's, who do you think I should use to be my lawyer or my solicitor? Recommendations. Like, that is so important. Get people to recommend other people to you. Who can I use? Ask the question. Who can I use to do this? Who can I get to represent me in this way? And you will get recommendations from people. That's how we did it. We just asked the question. And one thing I would always ask. Don't feel a way to ask. If you don't know the answer or feel that I might look stupid or not know what I'm talking about, no, just ask the question. Do you get what I'm saying? And yeah, man, focus on your fans, ask questions, and don't trust man in suits. You get me?
Yeah, I think that's a great point to end on. Thank you guys for your time. I'd appreciate if you guys could give them another round of applause. Thank you very much. One more question. What would you say? Oh, one more point.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
I wanted to basically say there's something Rahmon said that's so important about strategic investors.
Okay.
Like, for example, we had investment probably, I'll say like a month ago, 2 months ago. This guy came in, it's him and his twin brother, and they gave us basically the smallest check into our business essentially, but they own the recruitment firm, a really good one. And I kind of saw the opportunity there because I knew that we're going to raise a lot of money soon, and we need to hire top talent essentially. And when I started seeing what recruitment firms charge you, like they normally charge like 20-25% of the annual salary, and the people we're going to be hiring are going to be earning like 100K plus, and there's a lot of them essentially. So you're looking at 20K, 25K fees. And before he came on board, because there was really no other value that he brought, I kind of toyed with him. I was just like, yeah, you know, it's a really hot round right now. I don't really see any much value that you bring in, but he really wanted to put money in. And the reason he wanted to put money in is because we're about to raise, like I think 2x or 3x valuation, like literally 3 weeks later. So he's essentially flexing his money there. So I was just like, yeah, let's do a deal here. You come on, give us a small amount of money, but you don't make any money from us in terms of your recruitment firm. We use you exclusively, but you do the deal at 8% essentially forever for us. And essentially, yes, he did give us a small amount of money, but the amount of money we save going forward is insane. So even today, we were meant to essentially pay, I think it was £42,000 to hire 3 people essentially. And that got down all the way to, I think it's £18,000 through there. So you save a lot of money. And as we grow, we'll save more and more. So strategic partnerships and also looking into the future really helps. I think that was a great point by Rahmon.
Dope. I think so. Round of applause for all these guys. I feel. And bro, your company's called Expo, right? Yeah. Okay, cool, man. You guys check that out. I think you can find these guys on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn, bro? Oh, you need to set up a LinkedIn. You're in the business thing now, man. Okay, yeah. So.
I see it, so I still see it.
Okay, cool. How can they contact you? I feel like people are gonna come and want to get insights. Cool. And Kiemu, LinkedIn, Rahmon. Cool, man. And via Black Seed, I feel like we just want to get some words from Cyril. You know, the co-founder. He just wants to thank our sponsors. You know, we've had some great people support. Just want to come up, so because I don't think I remember everyone, and I don't need that pressure. And then we'll feed you. I think that's one of the ethos of Black Seed. They feed black people on time, innit? You know that.
There we go. The food's almost here, so I'll just go to the next slide. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming out. First of all, thank you to Sharon who helped organize it. Thank you to Sully, the hostess with the mostest, Krept, Kiemu, Rahmon, Young Creators UK. Thank you to everyone that came here. Andy Davis, Kweku, Yvonne, everyone in the crowd. I see you. I can't mention you all. Well, so thank you to our sponsors for giving us delicious, healthy, nutritious water and can of water too. In addition to that, Rum Punch London. Thank you to all you sponsors for coming out. Thanks for hooking up, for giving us the drinks. Unfortunately, Frank Kamanka didn't sponsor us, so maybe next time. But that being said, yeah, thanks for coming out. It's been a great event. And yeah, that being said, we'd like to showcase you a video at the end, so maybe you guys can stay for 1 or 2 minutes, have drinks, network, talk. And yeah, thanks for coming out. Follow us on our social media. I'm gonna click on the slide. It's actually, the one on the paper is actually wrong. So blackseed.ventures, Blackseed, at Blackseed VC, Twitter, Instagram, everything, all of that. Subscribe, check us out, support us, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, and we got a little video to wrap up.
Time, harvest. Green trees, black seeds, Afro.